I want to give a special shout out to Ralph Anthony Garcia of the United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Make sure y'all go to the United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Check out his channel. Check out his series, Ralph Reads. Give it a like. Subscribe to his channel. And check out what he got to offer. Some really good stuff up there. This is Mike Mountain, and this message is approved by me. Peace.
Salutations and welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4, the legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Today on Ralph Reads, we reach the finale of the extremely talented author Jan Eleven's debut, Angelites. Body of persons empowered. This is it. This is the last stop of the series. Either you're dreary or maybe even cheery. I even had folks say my voice makes them fear me. Clearly, the impact is felt on either side severely. Let the reading commence. Chapter 77. Crucifix cops ran out of the building, tripping and banging into one another due to the pavement shifting under their feet. Fearful of an enormous blast, some of them ducked behind parked cars while others ran into Thomas Paine Park. Although they ran and hid, sadistic joy was displayed on their faces, anxious to see great balls of fire scorch the whole building. But to their disappointment, after several terrifying minutes, the rumbling eventually stopped. FBI headquarters stood tall. White smoke poured out the front doors as hostages escaped outside to freedom. Evil officers blocked their path and ordered them to stay where they were. On your knees, now! The head cop yelled, while the rest of the brigade drew their weapons on the crowd. Hostages, scraped and blackened, dropped to the ground and begged to be released, hoping this nightmare would end. Tailing the terrified crowd came one last hostage, moving through the lobby like a frozen zombie. Screaming in fright, the hostages moved aside, clearing a path for the cops to take their last casualty. Get down on the ground, now! The cop ordered. But the lone hostage kept coming. Smoke parted away. Moonlight revealed bloody scars, frizzled long hair, and tattered clothing, which belonged to a woman who had just survived the impossible. Alexandra Vasquez! Again, the cop shouted, Get on your knees, or I'll blow your head off! Looking to the ground, Alex dropped to her knees and raised her hands. Cries and pleas for help flooded her ears. Enough was enough. These devils needed to be eradicated once and for all. As a clutter of rifles pointed at her head, she closed her eyes. Was she praying? More like focusing. Forces of nature reacted with a sudden change of winds. Even the cops had a sense that something unearthly was going on. Thunder and rumbling sounded. Not a raindrop dripped from the sky. Where was that noise coming from? "Over there!" a cop from the back shouted, pointing toward the highway. Tidal waves pumped from the East River, rocking Coast Guard ships like toys in a bathtub. One pipeline wave rose to unimaginable heights as it rushed toward the shoreline. Crashing over the barrier and engulfing the highway, the wave charged into the mainland as if it was being controlled. Alex didn't move. She held the sides of her head, grunting through her teeth. Cops fled for their lives as the enormous wave rushed through Thomas Paine Park. Hostages held onto each other, screaming for mercy. Raging waters crashed down on everyone, flooding Federal Plaza, growing to half the size of the headquarters. It continued barreling through the city streets, washing away numerous squad cars. Demons of all different sizes and colors shot out from the water, tortured in midair as their very ghostly essence got ripped to shreds. Ghastly howls wailed in the air. Demons exploded like balloons over the island of Manhattan like New Year's Eve fireworks. Then the unimaginable happened. Violent waters rolled in reverse and retracted back to the river. The ground could be seen once more. Hostages miraculously stood in their places, soaking wet, but unharmed. City buildings remained intact. Trees in the parks were still standing. Waters were called to only kill the crucifix cops like an act of God. Order was restored as if the violent chaos never happened. Still on her knees, Alex felt completely replenished. Her suit looked brand new. Brown locks shined as if she just stepped out of the beauty salon. Lowering her hands, she looked up at the heavens and wallowed with joy.
"Thank you!"
she repeated. Alexandra Vasquez was now an Angelite. Before relishing in her rebirth, she abruptly fainted. EMTs, fire trucks, and state police cars roared onto the scene. Medics ran out and attended to the hostages while honorable policemen entered the building. Oddly enough, they exhibited normal behavior as if none of them witnessed Alex's aquatic phenomenon. Lloyd and Agent Burke called for help as they walked out carrying an incapacitated Saxon Davis on their shoulders. EMTs grabbed the veteran and placed him on a gurney, rushing him inside of an EMT truck. The agents' fears escalated at the sight of their boss lying motionless on the ground. Agent Burke directed medical personnel to immediately attend to Alex. Lloyd cradled her in his arms, whimpering as he repeated, "Don't you leave me now." Chapter 78. Cruising through the late-night Manhattan streets was a stretched limousine driving up to City Hall, parking out front of the massive marble staircase. Bodyguards rushed outside and stood around the vehicle, observing the area to see if the area was secure. The driver then valeted a drowsy Mayor Goldberg out of the vehicle. He was still wiping the sleep from his eyes. Flannel pajamas stuck out from under his sloppy gray suit and oversized trench coat. "Are you okay, sir?" asked the driver. "Being dragged out of my bed at this time of night because of another dim-witted police emergency? I'm pretty damn far from being f***ing okay," the mayor snapped back. Can't wait to pitch my task force idea to Congress and get all these imbeciles fired. They failed my city way too many times. Heh, at least the public is still buying while I'm selling. A black Cadillac parked across the street at the same time. Behind the wheel was Police Commissioner Cornelius Wood. He checked the clock radio and compared it to the event reminder flashing on his cell phone. Seeing the mayor already arrived, Wood got out of the car and buttoned his charcoal gray trench coat. Goldberg unknowingly threw his hands in the air as he saw Wood from across the street. This crosses the line with government protocol, so this better be good, Goldberg complained as Wood walked towards him. My day starts in a matter of hours, and I still have to rehearse my speech to the silly delegates. Also, I gotta dig some lousy hole in some godforsaken park, waste my afternoon signing documents, and deal with public agencies before the Yankee game tonight. I have a very tough life. I see, Wood sarcastically responded. Mr. Mayor, I'm just as anxious to get back to sleep as you are, so let's just get this over with. Now, what is it you need from me? If this is about the Times Square fiasco, my office is currently running a full investigation. I hope to have some answers for you by the end of the day tomorrow. What I need from you? You're the one that asked me to come out here! Sir, I came here because you sent me a message. You sent me a message? Sent you? I don't even text to my wife to say hello. Goldberg looked appalled. Well, I'm getting the hell out of here. He fanned his hand while heading back to the limo. Hold it! Hold it! Wood stopped him. We seem to have a misunderstanding here. Instead of us going our separate ways and keep this looming over our heads all night, let's hash this thing out and get to the bottom of this mix-up. Might as well, since we're both standing out here past midnight in our PJs. There's nothing to figure out. It's obvious your people screwed up, as usual. Let's not jump to conclusions, sir. There has to be a logical explanation for why we would schedule a meeting at this time of night. Wood thought of a few scenarios, but still not remembering who originated the idea. Does your secretary have access to your office when you're away? Of course, Goldberg cleared his throat. She's always in my office to, handle my personal stuff. Does she use sticky notes or are your appointments made electronically? We hardly write anything, Commissioner. Even the signatures on my employees' paychecks are computerized. Well, there you go. Maybe she listed our appointment for tomorrow afternoon but accidentally entered the incorrect time. And since your office is right upstairs, why don't we go up and investigate the snafu ourselves? I never go anywhere unless my bodyguards say it's okay. Do you really think there's a chance of a security threat? Now, sir, unless your janitors were hired from Staten Island or Afghanistan, I think we'll be okay. Now let's go. Goldberg nervously told his bodyguards to wait outside as Wood led the way up the stairs and into the building. Bland decor poisoned the ivory hallways, along with grand-sized pictures of the mayor hanging from every wall. Darkness blanketed both ends, looking more like caves. After turning numerous corners like cars around cones in a driving exam, the two of them finally made it to Goldberg's office. Here's what's not making sense, the mayor wondered. If my secretary made a mistake in booking this appointment, then how could you have gotten the same error? Not sure, Wood answered. Perhaps we both agreed to this appointment months ago and forgot about it. Remember, it was your idea to hold these secret meetings in the first place, wanting to resolve the growing problem of cops protesting your budget cuts. Isn't that right? Goldberg fanned his hands, wishing he never made that decision. Why so many cuts, sir? I'm afraid you'll have to wait like everybody else. That being said, I never scheduled any of our meetings this late. Why would I do such a thing? As I said, sir, it could be just a case of faulty information. If you got a better answer, then I'd love to hear it. The reception area was wiped down and cleaned to perfection by the cleaning crew. Goldberg's office was on the far left side. For him, in this darkness, it felt like walking through an endless forest. "Did you hear that?" the mayor asked timidly. "Sounds like footsteps."
You open the office while I check it out,
Wood ordered as he walked back out to the hallway. Goldberg rushed to his office and accidentally banged his nose against the locked door. After 3 failed attempts, fumbling his keys like a pair of dice, he got the doors opened and quickly ran aside. Chapter 79. Down the other end of the hall, embracing the darkness like a bright summer's day, was the pasty-faced killing machine, Cat Strutter. Moonlight bent to the shape of her high-heeled boots and yellow curly hair gleaming off her blood-stained machete. Eyeing the mayor's office a few yards away, there was 1 kill left to scratch off her long list of victims. No need to hide her true form any longer. She pulled off her frizzy blonde locks and plopped to the ground like a wet mop. 2 mini horns poked from the top of her head. Cosmetic skin bubbled and sizzled away like bacon cooking in a greasy pan, unveiling a tar-colored demon with deformed, gory features and jagged layering running along her physical frame. Cat got a whiff of cowardly odor stinking from the mayor's sweaty scalp as she crept into the reception area. This assassination was vital to John Hart's diabolical plan, but to her, this was fun. Quietly, she opened the door. There was Goldberg, leaning over with his hands pressed against the desk. Alongside him was a shot glass and an open bottle of scotch. Creeping up closer, the demon didn't make a sound as she raised her machete like a knight groomed for battle, salivating for the taste of blood. Goldberg was oblivious to the minutes of life he had left before his remains got splashed all over the office furniture. Closer. Cat had a devilish grin on her face, revealing 2 rows of deformed fangs. Green ooze leaked over her chapped lips. Then the unthinkable happened when Goldberg turned around. Cat froze with unbearable fear. Her wicked heart jumped into her throat. Eyes bulged so far out that they nearly popped out. Why? What was so terrifying about a sleazy, out-of-shape politician? Unless, of course, it wasn't him. His trench got ripped to shreds like toilet paper, untying a hair knot, long brunette locks draped over the shoulders. Death had come for Cat Strutter, from the one person who survived the butchery of her unforgiving blade. She came back to finish what she started at the bank. It was Natalie Mercedes. Cat shivered with her blade still in the air. The anger in Natalie's eyes could burn through lead. The room grew very hot. White flames ignited from her hands. Gloss over her eyes shine in the flaming yellow light. Time for this demon to perish. In a daunting multi-voice, Cat screamed in fury and attacked. Natalie shattered the deadly blade with just 1 slap. The demon was horrified, nothing left to do but hyperventilate. Even the most elite crucifix soldiers also feared eternal torment in the depths of hell. Natalie closed her eyes and a raging fire ignited around her body, coating her inside like a cocoon. Cat gagged from the humidity that smothered the entire room. Few loose strands of hair curled into crust. Her murky skin cracked like a mud mask. The heat reached over 100 degrees, melting the machete into a puddle of liquid metal. With a parting shot, Natalie formed another large fireball and threw it at the demon's chest. Yells of agony shattered every window in the office as Kat felt unimaginable suffering while every inch of her body burnt to ash. Horns peeled from her skull like an orange. Her skeletal gasped and flapped around in the heat until it exploded. Ash fluttered throughout the office like the first of winter's snow on a cold and crisp night. Natalie's temperature gradually dropped back to normal. Flames dispersed. Clothing was still intact. She stumbled against the bookshelf, flushed and drained. Wiping off the profuse sweat running from her forehead, she cracked a smile in relief. The hunt had ended. She won. Cash Strutter was no more. Steadily catching her breath, she looked over her shoulder and hollered,
"Okay, you can come out now."
Hiding under his large maple desk was a frightened Mayor Goldberg, shaking like an electric toothbrush. With gratitude, he crawled across the filthy carpet like a newborn baby and grabbed the Angelite's ankles, graciously thanking her for saving his life. Natalie grabbed him by his arm and yanked him to his feet. From front and back, his great pants were completely soiled. "Do you need a job?" he grovelingly begged. "I could get you one. Yes, as part of my security force, or on my task force. Hell, you can lead my task force. I just want you on my staff. Please, I'll give you money, whatever you need. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Acting on impulse, Natalie drilled a left cross to the mayor's face.
"That's for the policemen's lives you ruined,"
she said. Goldberg lay flat on his back, staring at swirly stars. She waited for a minute for him to wake up. After a few slaps to the face, she realized he was cold-cocked.
"Sorry about that,"
she apologized while looking toward the heavens.
"I'm working on it."
She then grabbed Goldberg by his ankles and dragged him out like a laundry bag, leaving a streak of clean behind the ash-covered floor. Chapter 80. Gina squinted her eyes from the radiance of pink neon flashing in front of Club Candy Cane. She walked down Rector Street like a tourist, amazed at how unexplainably empty it was. Deserted. Hart must be expecting her arrival. She walked toward the club and went around the back. On the loading dock, she spotted a brawny bouncer wearing a black suit and gold shirt guarding the rear entranceway. He put his hand up and halted the Angelite from moving further. "I don't know what you think this is, sister, but no one's allowed back here," the bouncer said. "So unless you gonna give me a little something, you better get up out of here. Not now, but right now." Gina was not in the mood to talk. To end the conversation, she leveled the bouncer with one punch, which torpedoed him through the back entranceway. The door frame and half of the surrounding wall came down with him.
"Such a gentleman,"
she snickered before stepping over his fallen body to enter the club. Walking through a winding hallway, she wound up in the kitchen area, the kind that would be seen in a five-star restaurant. Examining the top-notch cooking equipment, she sensed something was off with the freezer. No frost on the glass. The door felt too warm. No products of any kind stored on the shelves. She opened the door and stepped inside. Oddly, there were no cooling fans stored anywhere. However, she found climate controls on the back wall. Maybe the cooling unit was busted. One turn of the dial and the entire back wall slid open, revealing a hidden staircase.
"How about that?"
she thought. Going up the narrow stairs, she entered the hallway with the red doors. Grabbing her attention were the double doors at the end of the hall. She swung open the double doors and entered. It was Hart's private office, more lavish than the lobby of a fancy hotel. Enormous windows took up the whole back wall, displaying a beautiful shot of New York City. Everything seemed normal. All of a sudden, she sensed an unearthly presence. Energy as strong as hers, but weighing down on her heart as if agony and depression were rolled into a poisonous slab of meat, unable to digest. Quickly, the door shut behind her. Someone else is here, but not John. Someone else. Stronger. Cold. Evil. Who? There. Masked in the shadows. Flashing red eyes stared at her, showing no fear. She can't let herself be trapped again. John used that to his advantage at the bank. Stay strong. Have faith.
You're not hot,
She said.
so whoever you are, show yourself.
Lights gradually shined. Gina could see his face.
Oh my God. It can't be.
For years, she called him a friend. Hard-working officers trusted this man for decades. She inconsolably discovered the truth. He is a full-fledged member of the Crucifix, an orchestrator to this massive and horrific killing spree. John Hart's mentor. Inexplicably, he goes by Grandpa. But she undoubtedly knew his real identity.
Commissioner what?
She gasped.
Only to the NYPD.
He answered.
Actually, I have so many identities that sometimes I lose track.
Her chest ached from the pain of betrayal.
You look upset, Vasquez. Was I the last person you thought you'd see tonight? Here of all places? Well, I'm kind of disappointed as well. My original plan was to recruit you to join my regime.
I wanted you to lead the new breed of Crucifix soldiers.
Didn't turn out that way. Judging by your new status of power, I'm pleased to see that my assumptions about you were correct. They thought highly of you as I did. Unfortunately, they got to you first. Good for them. Congrats, by the way. You look great.
Recruit me?
She asked in disgust.
With the same offer I made to Hart. Now, don't get me wrong. John's a good boy. He's dedicated. Follows directions well. But let's face it, he's out of your league.
He threw his hands up and sighed.
Anyway, my plan got shot to hell once your family got you out of jail.
You? Did I go to prison because of you? It wasn't the lawyers or my in-laws or even Goldberg for that matter. You're the one who threw the book at me.
No, my child. Goldberg was solely responsible for taking you to court. However, it was I who convinced him to take immediate action. How else could I get you to join me except by pushing you to the brink of self-destruction? Your life was over, Vasquez. I was going to offer you a new one. A chance for greatness in the New World Order. But nothing I did worked on you. I was certain that the hate you built against your husband would have been enough to manipulate you. I was wrong. A miscalculation of my part for underestimating your mental toughness.
My husband? You set that whole thing up?
Who do you think hired the bimbo you caught him with?
My God.
She felt numb.
Now, Vasquez. Again, I didn't force your husband to cheat on you. Hell, I never even met the guy. But he was seething with so much envy at you for taking over as breadwinner of the family. After such a promising start, he became a pimple on the ass of patheticness. Starving for attention, I just dangled the right bait and he took a bite as expected. I crossed so many boundaries to get you in my army, but something or someone always intervened. I got so vexed over the whole thing that I had to settle for Hart.
Why him?
Your protest? He impressed me by organizing so many officers in such a short amount of time. Between you and me, though, the guy's a B-plus player. He'll never come close to reaching your status. You belong with us, Gina, and together we can change the world. For real this time.
It took a minute for Gina to manage her anger. She trusted this man. Saxon Davis calls him his best friend. Lo and behold, Cornelius Wood was the mastermind who altered her life for the worst.
You had me locked up, drowning in guilt for years. Ripped my life and career away from me. Now you expect me to take part in your demented scheme for world domination? As if it's gonna make up for the pain I endured? I lost time with my family. I contemplated suicide. You must be out of your mind if you think I'd join up with you.
That's not what I want to hear. Human history shows that great heroes always die at the end of hellacious wars. Do you know why? Because no matter how hard you fight to preserve your way of life, there's always someone greedier, more cunning, and eviler, desperate people who'll do anything, whatever it takes, to put the world in the palm of their hands. You can't fight the inevitable, Vasquez. Keep trying to swim uphill. Sooner or later, you'll die from exhaustion. Ask yourself, is it really worth it?
Making sure my loved ones are safe from a mischievous waste of space like you? No question.
Wood guffawed.
I like you, Vasquez. I'm actually going to shed a tear when you die. Now, whether it'll be sincere or not, I really can't say.
He looked at his watch.
Looks like it's time for me to go. Fun catching up with you.
What makes you think I'm going to let you walk out of here?
We both know you're not ready for me. I can destroy you just like that.
He snapped his fingers.
Our time will come to dance. Meanwhile, some friends of mine will like your autograph. I'll see you soon.
Her brigade of clicks sounded. She turned around and viewed a herd of SWAT agents pointing shotguns at her head. Moving at the speed of the wind, Gina disarmed them in a matter of seconds. Their arms stayed stiff, holding imaginary weapons. She then mauled through the group with one-punch strikes. The SWAT army literally disintegrated as their bodies crumbled to dust on impact. Demons exploded like kernels on a hot stove. Centered in a ring of ash, charred uniforms, and dented armor, Gina wasn't surprised to see Wood had weaseled out of the room. By the window, she discovered a large rip within the cityscape. Poster board behind plexiglass, all fake. A light shined from the rip. She peeked inside. Standing under a spotlight with his back turned was John Hart. Gina burst through the papered backdrop and entered the room, vengeful, furious. Hart turned on his heel to face her while holding a Bible in his hand.
Are you mocking me with that?
She asked. No, said John, slamming the book closed. This is good reading material. So many wonderful stories. I like thumbing through it whenever I'm on the toilet. I was looking for a cold-hearted passage to recite before I f***ing kill you, he sighed. It pains me to have to spill your blood all over this floor. But a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Then, what the f*** are you waiting for?
She cracked her knuckles. John stretched his arms out lazily. Why are you so hell-bent on fighting me? You made me this way. All of this started because of those political jerks who love screwing over dedicated officers like us. Goldberg, that conniving son of a bitch, I can't believe you saved him! He doesn't give a fuck about you! Politicians, government officials, they're all greedy, filthy pigs that only give a fuck about your money! It's them who want to control the world, not me! I just want to uphold true justice, give the kind of protection that this world deserves.
So, you're the hero in this. Does upholding justice mean forcing people to conform to your laws? Mandatory discipline for those who forget who's in authority? You're cut from the same cloth as Goldberg. Bloodsuckers of the poor.
And what about you, Vasquez? Let's say you come out of this as the hero. Do you expect to go home and live a normal life? Can you ignore the urge to punish the next jerk who resists arrest? No matter what moniker of regalness has been bestowed upon you, you're still human, Vasquez. Those powers can't change who you are. You see me? You see me? I'm perfect. I represent everything that keeps this planet moving. Angels are a dying breed. Faith is a laughable concept. You can keep fighting for decades and you'll still wind up on the losing team.
Pathetic isn't a strong enough word for what I think of you, John. Not even demonic powers could raise your IQ. You've undermined the law and preyed on the weak for selfish gain. That's because you are weak. A shell of a man. You sold your soul just to burn in hell with absolutely nothing to show for it. Sad, sad, sad.
John's ego got sliced in half and Gina rubbed salt in the wound. Screaming louder than an MMA fighter singing opera, he rushed in to attack. His fists came swinging from all directions, moving as fast as lightning. Gina played defense only to test his strength. His skill was subpar at best. He's not as strong as she imagined, be it that she was blocking his strikes with one arm. John switched to defense as Gina engaged with strikes of her own. He swiftly dodged past them until he caught a boot to his abdomen. She kicked him around the room like a soup can. Plaster exploded from large holes he left in the walls.
Getting tired already?
Asked Gina, seeing John moaning and groaning on the floor.
Am I too tough for you? Do you need to call your boys for help? Have them do your dirty work for you? Like always. Ha! Some man you are.
Highly insulted, John attacked again. Before landing a punch, Gina landed a right hook to his ribcage and then crushed the side of his skull with a spin kick. Rolling on the floor like tumbleweed, John landed on his knees and coughed out blood.
I see your face glistening.
Gina teased.
Not working out as you should? A good cop is always prepared for any situation. Basic police academy principles, Johnny boy. Guess you were asleep when they taught that.
She bent down over him.
What? Wanna quit?
John cracked a creepy smile. You haven't beaten me. I'm just getting warmed up. He hunched over his hand, which began to flicker with red lightning between his fingers, forming an energy ball. He staggered to his feet. Gina stood with her hands on her hips, waiting for his next move. She let her guard down, just the move he was waiting for. He then threw the energy ball at her eyes. She was blinded by swirling globs like being trapped inside a lava lamp. She grasped onto her face, stricken by unbearable pain. Taking full advantage, John telegraphed several punches to her face, followed by an elbow against her spine. Where's your smart mouth now, Vasquez? He taunted as he grabbed a handful of red hair. Didn't I tell you this would happen? Didn't I? Such a damn shame! We could have had a great future together! Maddening swirls bubbled faster. Because of the throbbing pain, she couldn't concentrate, falling victim to her human emotions again. Her ears picked up the sound of lightning regenerating from John's hand. She channeled her energy inward and focused on clearing her vision. Surrounding sounds faded away, hearing only the beat of her heart going at a normal pace. She felt her power grow, pain diminishing, blobs dispersing.
Her vision returned in time to see John's sparkling red hand attack once more. She spun around and grabbed his arm, not letting his attack commence. Neither one showed leniency, each struggling to get the upper hand. It was a stalemate. Most of her energy had been used. She wasn't strong enough to push him away. What else can she do? John laughed hysterically as he felt the Angelite weakening. She needed to counterattack soon, or else she'll face further suffering. Maybe worse than before. Yelling with all her might, she shoved his lightning hand against his face. John screamed as if he was laying on a bed of hypodermic needles. He then flopped around the floor like a fish out of water, grimacing and caressing his burned marks in his cheek and temple. "Why is this happening?" he complained. "I'm a god!"
You are history!
She said, standing tall while dusting off her shoulders. "Not yet, baby!" He pulled out a large crystal from his pocket. "You know what this is? It's called a ghost bomb. Guaranteed to annihilate every living thing within my desired radius. And I want every ounce of its power to tear your soul apart."
No! Don't do this!
Gina pleaded.
You could level half the city! Thousands of people would die! Your fight is with me!
You're right. Nobody else has to die. It's too bad for you. You won't live to find out.
Gina lunged to stop him. Too late. From the basement to the roof, great balls of fire touched all corners of the establishment, destroying everything left standing. Chapter 81. Clouds of dust everywhere. Liquor of all kinds stained the walls. A crater-sized hole stood where the roof used to be. Every dance level had been obliterated. What once stood as the undisputed king of late-night entertainment had been reduced to rubble, rotting and crumbling inside and out. Gina woke up coughing from the smoke, exhausted, fully drained. At the last split second, she used all of her power to contain the blast radius, keeping the building foundation intact. But at what cost? She rolled on her stomach and tried getting to her feet. After taking one step, she collapsed. Aching muscles, pounding headache. She couldn't focus. Re-energizing became impossible. John Hart stood on the other side of the room, giggling mercilessly. How is it the bomb's devastating blast did not affect him? Did he shield himself too? No. Gina must have unintentionally protected him in the process. Was that his plan all along? The bomb may not have killed her, but it served its purpose. "Hi there," John comically impersonated. "Guess you're wondering what happened to you, huh? Well, a ghost bomb is supposed to wipe out every living creature in its path, but I knew you'd sacrifice yourself to save the rest of the city. Containing that blast was a pretty ballsy move, I must say. Bet you've never ever withstood something with such magnitude before, have you? Meaning you're as weak as a bunny now. Check. And mate." John immediately delivered a punishing kick to her ribs. Grabbing a handful of red hair, he then threw her against the wall like a sack of cement. Plaster and dust crumbled on her back as she fell to the ground. John leapt in the air like LeBron James and lowered the sole of his boot into her spine. He used so much force that the floor broke beneath them, dropping both down to the main dance floor below. Gina wallowed in pain. She couldn't fight back. John danced across the disco floor as if he just scored a touchdown. "What's the matter, honey buns?" he taunted. "Getting tired already? You're pathetic. Looking at you down there crawling like a worm made me realize that I don't need you. Who wants to be with someone who's not smart enough to do what they're told? Your powers are decreasing while mine are getting stronger by the minute. Just when you thought you got me down, I rise to the occasion. I win. All I do is win, and nobody helped me. I did it all by myself." Fighting unbearable pain, unable to recharge, Gina had one weapon left to fight with: her mind. She got on all fours and exaggerated her weakness, exhaling her words.
So, where's your mentor? Why isn't he here, sharing this moment with you? You'd think he'd be to congratulate you, if he had so much faith in you. All I see is you, dancing alone, celebrating a fight you haven't even won yet. You call that greatness?
That comment broke his celebratory mood. Grandpa abandoned him. John fulfilled his task and still no sign of his mentor. He stood there sulking like a child picked last for basketball. Just the moment Gina needed. "You think I need him?" he snapped. "The hell with him! I don't need anybody. You may have defeated all those sorry losers I recruited, but I am the sole survivor. Why? Because I am true and living." He stopped. Gina disappeared. Quivering and frowning, he realized she played him. Being distracted by heartache, he foolishly allowed Gina to regain her strength. He screwed up. A light tap on his shoulder got him shaking like a leaf. He didn't want to turn around. Hesitantly, he looked over his shoulder. One punch sent John flying through 3 walls. He slid across the floor of what used to be the lounge area. Dirt balls and dust mounted up against his scalp. A recharged Gina Vasquez swooshed over him, replenished and radiating with confidence.
If you knew anything about my powers, then you would have known my tolerance grows after every battle. Meaning, I regenerate faster.
She grabbed John by his throat and lifted him over her head.
You should have finished me off. Big mistake.
Gina threw an uppercut that levitated him across the room. Before he could land on the ground, she rushed over and whacked him again. Faster as time went on, she continuously ran back and forth for several merciless minutes, walloping him from both sides of the room like a one-woman tennis match. Bringing his punishment to an end, she sent John crashing into a corner with his knees folding over to his head. Feeling like he'd been stampeded by a herd of elephants, the wicked detective struggled to turn his body right side up. "Weak," he muttered, refusing defeat. "After all you did, you still can't kill me." He used the broken furniture to unsteadily pick himself up. "After I heal, I'll keep you alive long enough to watch your mother and your sister bleed like pigs once I slowly cut their throats, and it'll be all your fault." Straining with all of his might, John stretched his arms out and summoned another dose of dark power. "Me, Fisto!" he hollered. Lightning sparked from his hands once more, but not as potent as before. Red swirls surrounded his body, confining him inside an egg-shaped orb. However, his weakened condition couldn't contain its combustible energy. The lightning faded till it eventually disappeared. He dropped to his knees, not an ounce of fight left in him. Looking at the Angelite with soulful eyes, he threw his hands in surrender. "You beat me, Vasquez," he admitted. "It's over. No more war. Forgive me. It's in your nature to forgive, isn't it? Grant me mercy." Gina shook her head.
Now you want mercy? Sad. You have a natural quality to organize and gather. Could have helped so many people, and cops. But you chose greed, wanting to be a ruler, a city treasure. Except now, you're about to become a buried treasure.
John giggled. "So, you're finally going to kill me?"
You've asked for mercy. I have to honor that. Please attack me so I can change my mind.
Just then, John felt a dark aura similar to his. His eyes watered with joy with seeing Commissioner Wood walking out to the center of the room, smiling like a proud dad. Keeping her guard, Gina allowed the detective to crawl toward his master, letting him enjoy his last moment of freedom. Wood placed his hands on his protege's shoulders. John was eager to hear his teacher say how proud he was for his loyalty and gallant effort toward the crucifix uprising. But then, Wood's smile dropped to a disappointed smirk. "Pathetic," he slurred. The smile on John's face curled to a horrified frown. It can't be. He wouldn't. They've been through so much together since the beginning. Tears streamed down his eyes like a river. He was scared to death. Days of unimaginable suffering awaited him. Dear God. Wood drove his hand into John's chest. Blood exploded from his mouth. His eyes rolled back as his whole body trembled. Wood grabbed hold of his spine and ripped out a demonic skeleton from his flesh. It fought to wrestle away from his monstrous grip. He then crumpled up the bones like an old newspaper. Chalky dust spilled from between his fingers. John's fleshy remains dropped to the floor like a Halloween costume. All of a sudden, they ignited to a scorching flame that traveled across the floor and rode up the walls. As the entire lounge got devoured, Wood turned to face Gina, laughing in despicable pleasure as the fire crackled and danced behind him.
Get a good look at your future,
he warned.
The Angelites will fall, but you will die by my hands alone.
An appalled Gina watched a man that she once admired take someone's life so barbarically. Fury and rage sparked something inside her as her hands lit up with pure white energy. Wood pointed at her like a schoolteacher and warned, "Don't even think about." Energy beams shot out from Gina's fists, blasting Wood in his black-hearted chest. He crashed through the fiery wall and descended toward the street. Before splatting to a bloody mess in midair, he transformed into a bat creature, flapping wickedly massive wings through the misty night sky. Gina raced up to the top of the roofless building and spotted 3 helicopters approaching from the Hudson River. She took a running start from the narrow ledge and shot up through the air like a rocket. Cold gusts rushed against her face as she flew toward the first chopper. Gatling guns recklessly fired in her direction. She landed on its nose and shattered the windshield with one punch. No pilot inside the cockpit. She then jumped inside and ripped out the control box. The chopper wildly spun down toward the water. She climbed to the top and ripped out the blades from its apparatus. As the second chopper approached, she flung the blades like a frisbee and sliced it in half. Great balls of fire lit up the night as mechanical pieces plunged into the river. 2 down and 1 to go. Through the aerial fire and spiraling smoke clusters, Gina leapt up to the last chopper and grasped onto its landing skid. She climbed up to the cabin door and slid it open. Waiting inside was Commissioner Wood, holding a uniquely made rocket launcher the size of an Uzi. 3 ghost bomb crystals armed in the chamber. He squeezed the trigger. A fiery bomb blasted Gina off the chopper. Incapacitated, unable to slow down. Spiraling down, she crashed through the nightclub like a meteor, buried under rock, wood, plaster, and metal beams. Wood fired again. Another fiery explosion rocked every piece of its foundation down to ruin, becoming a wasteland of smoke and rubble. Pleased at the demise of his enemy, Wood kicked his feet up behind the pilot's seat as the chopper flew over the Hudson River and into the early morning horizon. Chapter 82. Midnight oil burned at Internal Affairs headquarters. Soon as news about the Federal Reserve fiasco spread like wildfire over many social media outlets, Judas Lee was called to an emergency meeting coinciding with City Hall officials and other department directors to concoct a contingency plan to avoid a citywide panic. They concluded that all of the reports on cops breaking bad would be dismissed and focused on playing to the public's heartstrings by constantly praising their fallen hero, John Hart. He valiantly risked his life to save the Federal Reserve Building, but was tragically killed in the line of duty. Our city is safer today because of him. Never forget his bravery. We will miss him dearly. Nervously waiting in Lee's office, Memphis Knox didn't know how his story would end. Will they let him go for his assistance in foiling the crime? Or will he go to jail for being involved with Hart's band of rogue cops? Either way, he was relieved the nightmare was over. Even if he serves time in prison, at least he'll be able to see his lovely wife's face again. Behind 10 inches of glass is better than buried 6 feet underground. Lee rushed inside his office and sat behind his desk without saying a word. Composed, should he go public with Memphis's involvement? Not sure. It could either enforce their story or make matters worse, depending on what he'll choose to say. After staring at the floor for several minutes, he leaned over toward Memphis and said,
"Real melodramatic situation you're in. Wouldn't you agree?"
Memphis didn't respond.
"Officer Knox, if that's who you really are, I must say that we are all saddened and deeply appalled to hear that one of our own committed this heinous crime. Have you any idea how much you have detrimentally disgraced the Department of Law Enforcement? Voluntarily siding with that useless psychopath!"
I have my reasons for...
"No! No!"
Lee interrupted.
"This is not the talking part. This is the listening part."
Memphis stayed silent.
"After the death of my top agent, still fresh in my mind,"
he sniffed,
"I just couldn't bear the thought of cops sinking to such depths for selfish fulfillment. And you were a part of it. You deserve to go to jail for life."
Memphis dipped his head.
"But you won't. Besides turning yourself in, word reached us about the anonymous warning you gave to FBI security shortly before the siege. I believe you're not like the rest of them. Bravery and honor still exist in your heart. I'm proud of you."
That makes one of us, Memphis responded, not sharing Lee's enthusiasm. There's nothing I can say that'll justify what I've done. I was in a real tight spot and I did what I had to do to survive, to keep my family safe. Regardless of whether it was the right or wrong choice, I never wanted anyone to get hurt.
"Clarify this for me. You identified yourself as Memphis Knox, but looking at your criminal history, it says you're Zeke Tricolo. Perhaps you would care to explain."
Memphis went down memory lane and told the short version of his undercover story. Not as elaborate as he was with Natalie, but informative enough to get the point across. Lee ran a search in the law enforcement database under the 442nd roster. On the inactive badge numbers list, Memphis's profile appeared, marked as deceased. Judas pressed his fist against his lips, fighting back tears like a death scene in a soap opera.
"This is horrible,"
he dramatically expressed.
"I'm so sorry this happened to you."
Lots of my friends died to keep my identity safe, said Knox. And many good cops died choosing to follow that crazy bastard. They're dead because I failed to stop him.
"It's part of the job, son. Hundreds of us die to protect millions every day. We are needed to bring order, or else utter chaos will rule the streets."
He turned to the screen.
"Seems like your department disguised your profile in case of a situation similar to this would occur and you had to explain yourself to the proper authorities. I won't even ask why you chose such an ugly name like Zeke Tricolo."
Long story.
I just wanted to thank you for your service. Only a man with tough skin could have endured such a daunting task for the time you had. Dedication is a word that's constantly thrown around City Hall. A label they put on someone to make the public respect them. Not for a while has there been a reason to truly praise anyone for their honesty and dedication to the badge. On this day, it's I who salute you."
An elated Memphis Knox smirked as his eyes began to glisten. Thank you, sir.
"In fact, I'd like to make a proposition. How would you like to work for me?"
Excuse me? His eyes widened.
"I know this is the wrong time to talk business and you don't need to make a decision now, but I'd like for you to be the newest addition of my elite team of agents who've pledged their lives to restore order. Normally I promote within the ranks, but I know you have what it takes to do the job."
Before Knox could answer, Lee's cell phone buzzed. He recognized the number. An important call.
"I'm sorry, but I have to take this. I shouldn't be long. Then we'll have you processed and out of here in no time."
After Lee exited the office, Memphis stepped toward the window and looked down at the city he helped save, pleased to hear that he will not be going to prison because of it. He turned to look at Inspector Lee's accolades plastered on the walls. His offer sounded tempting, but was glad to be given time to think it over. The last thing he wanted to do at this point was to go back to work. After spending some months living a quiet life, catching up on lost time with his wife, he should then have an answer. Returning to his seat, he accidentally knocked over the desk lamp. It rolled next to a stack of boxes marked trash. Bending down to pick it up, Memphis saw a picture stashed inside an open box. It caught his attention. He recognized somebody. Feeding his curiosity, he pulled out the picture and held it to the light. It showed Martha Combs shaking hands with Judas Lee while holding up a certificate. This was the day she got promoted to internal affairs. Why would such a momentous picture be thrown in the trash? Natalie told him she was murdered. Was Martha the top agent Lee referred to? He fumbled through the box and found dozens of documents. Medical history, financial records, career profile. Martha Combs' name had been listed on each one. It's like she's been erased from existence. Memphis raced behind Lee's computer. Luckily, the department database was still on screen. He searched for Martha's name under deceased officers. 3 files popped up, one of them being a deleted email sent to an undisclosed address. He worked his computer wizardry and overrode the delete codes, able to retrieve the information. Although the recipient had no name, their handle was ccw666@blackwhitefish.com. They've attached a video and typed 3 words typed in the message box. It is done. Memphis clicked on the attachment. The video showed surveillance footage of Martha's crash at the railroad crossing. In horror, he witnessed how disgustingly she was executed at the hands of Cat Strutter.
Lee saw this,
he thought.
and then deleted it?
He looked back at the trashed boxes.
He's one of them!
Immediately, he forwarded the video to his account. He then grabbed the pen and wrote down the unknown email address on a sticky note. Natalie had to know about this. Grinning like a lottery winner, Inspector Lee re-entered his office. He was ready to make a major announcement, but was surprised to see that Knox disappeared. Video still playing on his computer. Hurriedly, he deleted all open files from his computer. Also, he found Memphis's officer profile and deleted that as well. No law enforcement agency would know who Officer Memphis Knox is. Sighing in disappointment, Lee got on his phone and redialed his previous call, Cornelius Wood. Heavy chops from the helicopter blades were heard in the background as the police commissioner arrogantly answered,
Ah, that was quick. Already made up your mind about my offer? That's not why I'm calling,
Judas expressed.
We got a problem. My boy, you should know by now that I don't get problems. I get results. However, I am sympathetic to your troubles. What seems to be the trouble?
Knox, he's gone.
So, get him back. There's no point now. He's seen what happened to Combs.
Wood sighed.
Never assume that no one will have access to your junk. Always delete the evidence. You, being an inspector for years, should have known that by now. Foolish!
Yes, sir. I apologize for my negligence.
Minor setback. I'll have my people take care of him. Meanwhile, we need to get the next flock of recruits ready. The Angelites are stronger than I've anticipated. Cash Strutter was one of our most elite mercenaries, and look at how easily she got annihilated. I knew that idiot Hart and his band of losers would fail to make a dent in their armor. With all due respect, sir, Hart was a joke since the first day he stepped foot on our territory. He was all wrong for this mission. That's the whole point, Lee. This is why I recruit the way I do. I purposely prey on the weak-minded who possess at least one laboring skill that I can exploit, and then keep them around until they are no longer any use for me. I understand. At war, you never send out your strongest players first. Your foot soldiers must lead the charge before you unleash your secret weapon. This is my way of examining the height of our competition. Our next wave needs to be at full strength, ready to terminate Angelites on sight, especially Vasquez. You believe she's still alive? Oh, I know she is. And I have something special in mind once she wakes up from her nap. She'll forever regret the decision of turning me down. And Mercedes? She's another one who's grown increasingly strong so quickly. I already have something devious in the works for her, too. She'll be reunited with her nosy cousin sooner than expected. Come home. We have a lot of upcoming matters to discuss. Yes, sir.
Chapter 83. The next morning, deputies Dooley and Carlo arrived at Carmel City Hospital to visit Veronica Silverblaze. Their shifts didn't start for a few more hours, so they planned on shooting the breeze with her in the meantime. In their hands were a bouquet, 2 helium balloons, and a sympathy card signed by the entire station. The nurse had just exited the room, and the officer stopped her to inquire about Veronica's condition.
Unfortunately, there hasn't been any improvement,
The nurse replied.
You can go in, but the doctor will be coming to check on her shortly.
Disappointed at the news, Dooley and Carlo entered the room and cringed at the dismal sight of their normally attractive boss. Black rings tattooed under her eyes, sunken cheeks as if she hadn't eaten in months, and chalky dryness on her plump lips. Laying the flowers on the tray table, Carlo tied the balloons to the bedpost while Dooley placed the card on the nightstand. Pulling chairs up to the sides of the bed, the deputies gently spoke words of encouragement to Veronica, wishing her a speedy recovery. However, they still had no leader to run the station house, and judging by the numerous times they volunteered, neither of these guys wanted that responsibility. Walker's the one with no family, Carlo mentioned. Maybe he should take the helm until Ronnie comes back.
Nah, he hates working long hours as much as we do,
Dooley rejected. What about Zoe? Think she can give direction?
Dude, she's a secretary. We need someone hands-on that will take care of business, not some skirt who's gonna bark orders behind the desk while filing her fingernails.
Hope somebody steps up soon, because I can't take any more of these 12-hour shifts. You should consider taking a job.
Yeah, right. I get all the hard work while you get to relax and do nothing, right?
Are you volunteering for the job?
Ha! Not me.
Exactly. Sheesh. Did Gina say when she was coming back? At that moment, Veronica's nostrils began pumping like pistons. The deputies looked down at her, excited to see she's showing signs of life. They whispered out her name. Was she about to awaken? Her eyes opened. Ronnie? Suddenly, Veronica wrapped her hands around the deputies' throats. Her beautiful face was twisted with furious anger. The vein in the middle of her forehead throbbed like a hot air balloon. Biceps bulged like a bodybuilder while elongated growls hummed through her tightly clenched jaw. The deputies fought desperately to get away as they watched their boss instantly sit up from the bed. Both got flung across the room like trash bags. Nurses ran into the room. Veronica jumped off the bed and viciously attacked them. Bodies were being thrown across the hall like rag dolls.
She flipped the bed over with one arm, growling like a mad dog. Blinded by immense rage and showing phenomenal strength, she punched holes into the walls as if they were made of paper, not once flinching from the severe scrapes marking up her slender knuckles. Deputy Dooley pulled out his firearm and threatened to shoot if she didn't listen. Staring at him with half-dead eyes, Veronica didn't recognize who he was. "It's me, Ronnie! It's me!" Dooley pleaded. "Don't you remember me?" Veronica calmed down after hearing his voice. It sounded familiar. Could memories be coming back to her? Is the woman they know and love floating back to the surface? No! Rage instantly returned as she grabbed Dooley by his throat and lifted him off the ground. He did his best to break free from her deadly grip, but he eventually passed out. Dropping Dooley like a barbell, the crazed chief then set her sights on his partner. Carlo attempted to escape out the door, but she yanked him back in by the collar of his uniform. He cried and squirmed like a worm on a hook, begging not to die. Looking at him with utter disgust, Veronica flung him out the window. Falling 4 stories down, Carlo landed on the hood of their squad car parked in front of the hospital. Horrified employees ran for their lives while Veronica ricocheted down the hallway walls. She stumbled down the stairs and hammered down the emergency exit doors. Thunder and lightning crackled through the dark brown horizon as she ran outside. Blood washed off her hands and flowed down the drainage as heavy rainfall pounded on the pavement. Angry, confused, now sorrowful. Looking up at the sky, sobbing over what she has done, she repeatedly whispered,
"Help me. Help me. Help me."
Chapter 84. As sunlight graced the towers of lower Manhattan, outraged commuters gawked at the ruins of Club Candy Cane. Pictures and videos flooded social media, becoming the #1 trending topic. Firefighters put out the last of the flames, while legit NYPD officers redirected onlookers to a safer distance. News vans swerved past the morning traffic and raced one another to the devastated site, ready to interview whoever wanted to talk. Hours had passed since Gina got buried underneath the wreckage, not moving an inch or winking an eye or inhaling a breath. Yet she heard the mass confusion loud and clear. Had Commissioner Wood made good on his promise? Was she dead this time?
"Vasquez!"
She opened her eyes, awakening to the sound of Cornelius Wood's eerie voice. Everything fell silent, except for the air pumping through her lungs, which were compressed under tons of rubble.
"Who was that?"
She wondered.
"I told you this would happen. What are you going to do now?"
Gina grew numb. Her eyes moved in every direction, too weak to break free from her concrete burial mound.
"Come on, Vasquez. Use your angel powers. Call on your God. Or stay there and die a slow death as you deserve."
"You don't know me.
Gina growled at Wood.
You never have."
Gina wiggled her fingers and felt rock crumble apart after one tap. Continuously wiggling and digging, one of her wrists eventually got free. She then twisted her fist with the speed of a drill and vastly broke away through the heavy blockage. Rock and rubble separated from under her body, and Gina fell into a hole along with an avalanche of tumbling concrete. It seemed like a bottomless pit as Gina dropped for numerous minutes, drifting through perpetual darkness, surrounded by screaming echoes and brushed by a constant cold gust. What was going on? Was she heading toward the center of the earth? An entrance to an alternate dimension? The wormhole to hell? Without her powers, she'll presumably fall forever.
Ugh!
Gina suddenly crash-landed on a jagged and uneven surface, although still enveloped in impenetrable darkness. Her night vision allowed her to see no blood on her clothing. Getting to her feet easily, no physical injuries were noticed or felt whatsoever. She must be back at full strength. She walked through the dark as if it was bright as the day. Her hand traveled along the damp rocky walls of a dank ovoid cave curving up from the ground and arched 100 feet high. Giant stalactites hung like icicles. Even though neither end displayed evidence of freedom, she shivered from chilling air coming from her left side. Unexpectedly, Commissioner Wood's eerie voice had resurfaced, reverberating through the hollow cave.
Vasquez!
He taunted.
You're a brave girl.
Expecting a surprise attack coming, she stretched out her fingers and balled them up into fists. Wait, is that light? A flicker of a match? It was hard to tell coming from afar. She walked toward the flicker and watched it grow to a flaming torch the closer she got. It led her into another cave, but this one was the size of a basketball court. Torches ignited along the walls in unison. Engraved in the rocks were the 12 symbols of the zodiac. A stone mound stood dead center, resembling an oversized anthill. Gina peeked inside its spout and saw a thick liquid swirling and bubbling like marble-colored lava. Just then, a slimy blob slowly rose from out the liquid and levitated over the stone. Slowly it materialized into an elongated dagger. Muddy remnants slid off and dripped down the spout, uncovering silver metal that blazed like a shooting star. A loathsome gasp seeped out from her mouth as she recognized this deathly structure.
Wally's knife.
Radiant beams shot out from the pentagrams on the handle, magnetically drawn to the zodiac signs. Suddenly, the cave floor violently trembled. Symbolic rocks shattered into rubble, forming 12 openings that encircled the Angelite like paparazzi at the airport. White smoke erupted, along with spine-chilling howls that zigzagged around the cave. Orange light vibrantly glowed against a burgundy landscape. From amongst the smoke came a monstrous, half-charred creature, slamming its limbs onto the rocks as its vicious claws climbed through the opening. A huge snout was stapled onto its mangled face with wine-colored serpent pupils as large as grown-up hands. Fangs hung over its twisted mouth. Burnt fur covered its dark green, scaly skin. Various slash marks on its chest resembled the crucifix symbol. More cave-splitting growls had sounded from the other openings. Identical-looking creatures clawed their way out as well, each more hideous than the last. Collectively, they roared at the highest frightening pitch. The knife shot up through the ceiling like a rocket as the entire cave continued to rumble. Terrified beyond rational thought, Gina flashed out of the cave and ran as far away from those hideous beasts as possible. Passing through rushing winds, seeing nothing but bland color streaks, Gina stopped. She had no idea where she was going. Why waste her energy running if there was no place to hide? She wound up in a deserted landscape with dying grass and yellow patches. Weeds the sides of picket fences. Trees as tall as evergreens were shriveled and lopsided. Shades of gray painted the sky as if a severe thunderstorm approached.
Vasquez!
Wood's detestable voice echoed again.
My demons are gonna kill you!
If only Pastor Good was here to help. He would have known where he was and how to escape. Then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted someone running on the other side of the land.
Wait!
She shouted. Gina flashed over to where the person was running, but instantly they vanished. There! Now they're running toward a cluster of trees. Again she ran over, and they disappeared. Walking deeper inside the desolate forest, she came across a pool-sized ditch. The ground was dry and muddy. Hundreds of broken branches stuck out like thorns from a bush. She jumped into the ditch to investigate.
Oh my God!
She gasped. Those weren't sticks trapped inside the mud. They were decomposed arms. Dead bodies flooded the ditch, stiffly reaching outward. Mouths left wide open, displaying gray-colored, rotted teeth. Cobwebs occupied the spaces where their eyes used to be. Mud sparkled from metal shapes implanted along the corpses. She knelt next to a body and dug her nails into the cold ground. Sadly, she discovered the metal object was a badge. Numerous other bodies she checked. Each one had a badge hanging from their rotting flesh, representing different precincts and law organizations. The ditch turned out to be a graveyard. All of a sudden, one arm came to life and latched onto Gina's leg, pulling and tugging her down toward the mud. Gina broke away and ignited her fist into an energy ball. She paused. That face covered in grime and dirt. She knew who it was. Veronica!
Hold on, Ronnie!
She pleaded.
I got you!
Before she could grab her arm, Veronica was dragged across the wasteland and pulled toward a huge hole centered in the ditch. As soon as Gina switched over, a fiery mist blasted her face, momentarily blinding her. Hundreds of dead arms began to swipe and swing wildly. Gina mowed through the field of zombie arms and zoomed out of the pit. No time to cry over her friend as gray clouds morphed into a charcoal black scene. Wind velocity increased as thunder roared amongst the horizon. Cracks raced through the mud as volcanic activity occurred. Gina became unglued, letting her fear and emotion get the better of her.
Vasquez! Soon you'll be a fallen angel!
Just about to reach the breaking point, Gina got hit with a sense of reality. Wood is constantly attacking her because she's a threat.
That was the last time, Wood.
She declared. Pressing her hands together, Gina closed her eyes and tilted her head towards the heavens. She prayed for her strength to be at its highest, for her powers to reach no limit, for her mind to stay focused, no matter how great the strife may be. She could feel an electrifying sensation flow through her veins. Pure energy radiantly burst from her eyes. Her fists burned like Olympic torches. Gusting winds retreated from the immense power pulsing around her body. She felt invincible. No demon would stand a chance against her. A geyser of white smoke exploded from several miles away. 12 demons flew through the dark sky like a flock of ravens. Their wings were the size of airplanes. Foot-long tails wildly flapped behind them as they made a beeline toward the Angelite. However, they suddenly swerved away, retreating from the radiating light glowing around her body. Gina calmly paced back and forth, waiting to punish the first creature who invaded her personal space. After an intense stare down, the demons, obsessed with tasting angel blood, dove at her like a brigade of Scud missiles. Gina tensed up and crouched into an attack position. The battle had just begun. The war was far from over. Chapter 85. Natalie left Mayor Goldberg lying in front of the Channel 4 news station like a newborn kitten at someone's doorstep. She felt drained, needing to rest. Speeding back to the church was a bad idea at this point. After the Times Square fiasco, her car must have been impounded. She made one last dash to the Manhattan Tow Pound facility and paid to get it out. The West Side Highway was empty. She should get back to the Bronx in no time. For the first time this week, before hearing the news of Martha's murder, Natalie had a chance to enjoy the peace, have a moment to breathe. Cat Strutter is no more. She got her revenge after all. However, it haunted her to realize that another demon worse than Strutter will rear its ugly head sooner than later. A half hour later, Natalie got to the church with no problem. No tailing cops or inner city traffic to worry about. What alarmed her, though, was seeing no burnt streaks on the pavement in front of the church. Gina has yet to arrive. Already, doubts were boarding on her train of thought. Be it that Gina's skills were more advanced, she should have been here by now. Natalie entered the church, hoping to see her fellow Angelite plopped in one of the pews, saying how she took a cab back to get some rest. Disappointedly, she spotted Pastor Good sitting by the pulpit alone. His demeanor wasn't as humble as usual, carrying a troublesome vibe that she could feel by the entranceway.
Have you heard from Gina?
She asked while walking to the pulpit. It's hard for me to say, Good responded. I know she's alive, but I can't say she's on her way or...
What do you mean you know she's alive? If I made it back, then she should have been here hours ago. How could you not know what happened to her?
Let me explain. I can sense the spirits of both Gina and Alexandra, but I'm having trouble pinpointing their location physically. It's like sensing there's a burglar in the house, but you don't know where they're hiding.
How is that possible?
Honestly, I don't know. Perhaps their spirituality somehow got separated from the physicality, leaving them specters wandering around the planet, maybe even dimensions.
Kind of like astral projection?
Somewhat. Angels have been combing every trace of this plane, but have yet to find a trace of either one of them. Knowing Gina's tenacity as I do, I'm confident it's only a matter of time before we pinpoint their location. Natalie looked concerned.
I don't understand how they can find their way back if they're wandering spirits. Maybe I should go out there and help with the search party.
This is when the power of faith comes in, Miss Mercedes. Have you already forgotten how Gina's manifestation has rapidly advanced to higher levels? She's capable of returning to us eventually. Having both of you gone is just the opportunity the crucifix will seize and use to attack. Without an Angelite to fend them off, humanity will be doomed.
Which is why we can't just sit here and do nothing. I'm going out there.
You'll be searching for hours, which will completely drain you. Not only do you need to recharge, but the crucifix knows you're the only Angelite able to fight. We need you at full strength. Therefore, I strongly urge you to remain patient.
I can't do that. What if Gina dies out there because I chose to wait, when I could have done something to save her life, like she saved mine? I would never forgive myself. Say a prayer for me, Pastor, because I'm going to search for my friend.
No, he hollered, overcome with a terrible feeling. You have another friend who needs your help. I just don't know who. Natalie didn't have many friends left.
The first people who came to mind were her staff and...
Memphis?
Without hearing the details, she bolted out of the church and zoomed over land and sea to find him. She concentrated on pinpointing his location like a map app. Energies had drawn her towards Staten Island. Not knowing his exact address, she searched several neighborhoods, tracking his trail like a bloodhound. Ultimately, winding up in Tottenville, she was led to a modest 2-story house with a white picket fence. Knocks plated on the mailbox. She found his home.
Maybe it was a premonition,
she guessed. Seeing their parking space was empty,
should have asked before I ran over here.
Walking across the lawn, she saw no signs of a break-in. Lights were off inside. The front door still intact. It had to be a premonition that Pastor Good came across. She was brought here to foil another crucifix plot before it even started. But then she heard a stumble come from upstairs. She slowly opened the front door and crept through the living room. Clear. Making her way to the kitchen, she found a neon pink post-it on the stove that read,
I'm at Mother's. Call me. Naomi.
Natalie blew a sigh of relief, knowing that one of her friends was safe. She closed her eyes and focused on changing her vision to X-ray mode. Miraculously, she looked through the ceiling. Looking past the support beams, sheetrock, and multiple styles of furniture, she spotted 2 bodies, one heading toward the window while the other lied on the floor. She rocketed up the stairs and smashed the bedroom door to pieces. Entering the room, she nearly slipped on the blood leaking across the hardwood floor, all coming from one source.
Memphis!
She gasped, finding him curled in the corner, bleeding from a huge gash that stretched diagonally across his midsection. The perpetrator fled the scene but left his footprint on the window ledge. Dropping next to her friend, she generated heat through her fingers, becoming scalding hot. Memphis yelled in agony as she stroked them along his chest to cauterize the wound. She cradled him in her arms while getting on her phone to dial 911. With the little strength he had left, Memphis pointed at the wall behind his bed. Natalie was horrified at the sight of smudged bloody letters that spelled out one word. RICOCHETTI. Ricochet. Alternate ending. Chapter A. As sunlight graced the towers of Lower Manhattan, outraged commuters were gawking at the ruins of Club Candy Cane. Pictures and videos flooded social media and became the #1 trending topic. Firefighters were putting out the last of the flames while legit NYPD officers handled the onlookers by directing them to a safer distance. Ambulances swerved past the morning traffic and news vans raced one another to the devastated scene, ready to interview whoever was willing to talk. Gina was still buried beneath the wreckage, incapacitated several hours after the explosion. She hadn't moved an inch or winked an eye or inhaled a breath. Yet she heard the mass confusion loud and clear. Had Commissioner Wood made good on his promise? Was she dead for real this time? Just then, the sounds of the crowd faded away as one dismaying voice grew louder. Crying and heartfelt pleas followed as if that person was facing death. Gina opened her eyes and shouted,
Alex!
Concrete chunks and twisted metal launched countless feet in the air and crashed into vehicles inside a 2-block radius. Gina emerged from the ruins, soiled and blackened. Policemen and EMTs rushed in to help her, but she vanished within the thick white smoke. Questions from frightened commuters buzzed throughout the area like bees in a hive, but police had no answers. Seconds later, Gina arrived at the FBI building, and it was in total bedlam. As firefighters and CSI ran their investigation, Gina swerved through various vehicles and panicked hostages, calling out for Alex. She ran down to the lower levels and swooped past the firemen. The once state-of-the-art facility, known as Level 4, now looked like a junkyard for Watts, foggy, and stunk of burnt plastic. Wires hung from the ceiling like streamers, and high-tech equipment became recyclables from the back of a dump truck. Gina was about to check the room, but then she kicked Alex's phone accidentally. Although the battery was dead, the phone operated perfectly once placed in her hands. The camera app was still on. She mercifully bawled, listening to her sister's parting words. Suddenly, Pastor Good showed up wearing a fireman's uniform. He kneeled down next to the Angelite and quietly turned the phone off. "Come with me," he said.
I'm not going anywhere without my sister.
Gina debated.
If she's still here, I got to find her. I can't leave her burning under this.
She's back at the church.
What? Is she okay?
It's hard to say. I just need you to come with me now. Gina took the pastor's hand, and a flash of light passed her eyes before winding up back at the church. She wiggled her fingers and caressed her face, shaking off the numbing sensation. Pastor Good directed her attention toward the pulpit, and Alex was lying on the communion table, unresponsive. She ran to her sister's side, already thinking the worst, but the pastor laid his comforting hand on her shoulder, urging her to stay calm.
Is she dead?
Gina fearfully asked in between double breaths. The pastor wasn't sure on how to answer. For the moment, she's still alive, he began to explain. But now remains the question of whether her life force will regain strength. As you may have assumed, Alex was trapped in that fiery devastation and left that message believing that she'll never see you again. But for her act of bravery, Alex had transcended to divine heights and finally became an Angelite as she always wanted. Gina gasped.
She's like me?
Yes. Right after the explosion, Alex acted on raw emotions and unleashed a massive attack. Since she never properly trained her talents, however, her physical threshold wasn't enough to handle power of such magnitude. Her life force got completely drained, so it's tough to say how long her coma will last.
What are her chances?
For the average newcomer, it'll take a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or two. If she's as resilient as you are, then she could awaken in a matter of hours. But if her body is too weak, then she'll... Gina wanted to smash the walls into smithereens, but she fought back her destructive urges and listened to reason.
There's nothing I can do for her, is there?
She asked. Of course there is. Stay faithful. With all that's happened lately, I believe that should be the least difficult thing for you to do. I have faith that Alex will pull through. Deep down inside, I know you believe that too. Gina looked at her sister and nodded. Pastor Good excused himself and headed back to the prayer room, hoping for the angels to pull off another miracle. Gina, worn and tired, sat in the first pew and fought to keep her eyes open, wanting to be the first face that Alex sees once she awakes. After the high amounts of stress she endured all night, she eventually fell asleep.
Is this seat taken?
She heard and woke up unexpectedly. Standing at the end of the pew was Natalie Mercedes, refreshed and intact after her firestorm performance at City Hall.
Gina cracked a tired smile. Natalie moved into the pew sitting next to her.
How are you holding up?
She asked.
I'm holding. That's all I can say.
Gina responded.
How long you've been here? Not too long. Pastor Good filled me in on your sister's condition. Why did she do this to herself? I told her to wait until I came and got her, but she chose to be a hero. Saxon promised me he would get her out safely, and look what happened. You know, I thought time stood still on the night that Martha died. When someone you love is just taken away from you, it's too horrific to explain. Worst pain there is. You were right, by the way, about confusing revenge and justice. When I killed Strutter, I felt vindicated. Once I left City Hall, I realized that I was using my rage to rationalize vengeance as a form of justice. At the end of it all, Martha's not coming back. By the look in your eyes, I can tell what you're thinking. You want to go out there and kill anybody that looks like Hart and his mother. What will that accomplish? If I had these powers when Martha died, then I would have landed on every most wanted list across the globe. You changed that. Our paths crossed for a reason, leading us to this moment. We were meant to help each other because we are the strongest. Instead of acting on your anger, rejoice that she died a hero. You should be proud of her.
Teary-eyed Gina replied.
I am. Thank you.
Natalie shrugged and mentioned that she was doing a favor for a friend.
When John asked me to join him,
Gina explained,
there was a part of me that actually understood what he was trying to do. My skin crawls at the thought of betraying you and becoming one of them.
She shivered.
More than ever, we need to guard our hearts and our minds because it's going to get harder. At least we don't have to face it alone.
Gina extended her hand and Natalie gave it a slap, cementing their newly formed sisterhood. A slight groan came from the pulpit and Gina immediately raced to the table. While slightly moving her fingers, Alex slowly opened her eyes, elated to see her sister's face. Not only was she grateful to have survived the explosion, but overjoyed that her bravery and sacrifice had been rewarded. More than becoming an Angelite, she had another chance at life with her sister.
I don't know why I was so worried about you,
Gina said to Alex.
I knew you'd come back. Gina,
Alex uttered.
That was the best deep sleep I've had in years.
Gina laughed gleefully.
About what I said to you before? Stop! Forget everything that happened before. That all died in the explosion. This is a new day, and you have a new life. Let's start over from this point forward, okay?
The sisters tightly hugged and mentioned how much they loved one another.
I guess resilience runs in the family,
Natalie added, circling from behind Gina.
Glad to have you back in the fight, Alex. Thanks.
Alex muddled.
Who are you? This is Natalie.
Gina introduced.
She's one of us. You mean she's...
Gina happily nodded while Natalie stood confidently with her arms crossed, nodding at the agent and raising an eyebrow. Alex cracked a smile and said,
Nice to meet you.
Pastor Good was right. The others that he mentioned were entering the picture. Thrilled to see the Vasquez family reunited, Natalie turned to Pastor Good, who was standing at the back of the stage. He silently gave thanks to the angels watching over them. Thank you, Father, he prayed. I believe they are ready. Chapter B. Church service had started later that morning, and the ministry band jammed on stage with songs of praise and worship. The pews were filled with hungry people seeking the holy word to quench their spiritual craving. Natalie sat up front with the Vasquez family. Sienna and Raul were all smiles, dressed in their Sunday best. Gina and Alex's battling clothes looked brand new, modeling it like a couple of mannequins. Looking at the Vasquez family rejoicing as a whole, Natalie realized that despite bitter feelings towards Martha's ex, Henry didn't deserve to be shut out. So determined to grasp revenge that she forgot to take his feelings into consideration. He must have been hurting just as much as she did, maybe more. Reconnecting with Henry was her first priority and became the surrogate mother that he'll need in his young life. Illuminating rays of sunshine exploded down the aisle as the church doors opened. Entering was Saxon Davis in a clean and spiffy navy blue suit, looking like a man with a new lease on life. Following him was a clean-shaven Memphis Knox with his wife Naomi hooked on his arm. Elated to see that they survived, Gina waved them over. Hugs and greetings were exchanged all around. Sienna kissed Saxon on the cheek, happy to see her old friend again. Natalie shared a group hug with both Memphis and Naomi like old college buddies at a reunion. Naomi already started with the catching up questions, but the concert had ended before she got any answers. As service got underway, Gina and Alex thanked Saxon for all he did without being specific, not wanting to upset their parents. The veteran understood and answered, "You're welcome." Soft music played from the keyboard, and Pastor Good asked the congregation to close their eyes. He led them in prayer about breaking the chains of the world and letting your spirit roam free. He spoke a verse from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." Collectively, the people prayed amongst themselves, having joy come into their hearts upon feeling the presence of God. Gina heard a soft angelic voice singing from the stage. She squinted her eyes from the blinding amber light shining above. Floating down was a young angel gently landing on stage, graced with the beauty of a Renaissance painting. Her large white wings closed over shoulders like a cloak. Long brown hair flowed down to her knees, complementing her golden brown skin. Gina moved in for a closer look and was flabbergasted, instantly recognizing her sweet face, Christine Jordan.
It's you!
She exclaimed.
You're the prisoner of that cult! With me and Ronnie and... You're an angel? You've been an angel all this time? Yes, Gina,
Christine answered with a smile.
Pastor Good was absolutely right about having an angel watch over you through those dark years. However, I've dropped several messages to you about what was to come, but you were too far gone to listen then. We've waited so patiently for you to pull yourself out from that hole of guilt and shame, but throughout that wait, I never left your side.
Gina thought she was disrupting the service, but surprisingly, the congregation was still in prayer.
No one can see us,
Christine mentioned.
It's just you and me talking now. Does the pastor know you're here? Of course. And so does his sister. You're talking to Alex too? But why? Although she sounded confident over the phone with you, her faith was rapidly declining. She thought she would die in that building, so I went there to give her a message similar to what I tried to do for you. To tell her that she was an Angelite already. She didn't believe me. You two are definitely sisters. So the Spawns gang never kidnapped you, did they? They most certainly did. I just made it easy for them. This, I'd say, was a drastic approach. Something I've never been accustomed to doing, but I knew this would be the way to get your faith going again. Ronnie!
She gasped.
I've been so busy with Stomping Heart that I forgot about her. I need to get back there. And you will,
Christine assured.
Would you happen to know if she's okay? Unfortunately, she's trapped in the middle of a personal war that will determine the outcome of her life. Something happened to her the night you two came to rescue me. It could wind up strengthening her for the future or completely kill her spirit. However, we both know that she's a fighter and won't go down easy.
Gina was amazed at how articulate and wise little Christine was.
Now that you have some downtime,
The angel continued,
she could use as much of your support as possible. Go to her. Meanwhile, this will give your friends plenty of time to train. Can I save Ronnie?
the Angelite asked.
Yes. But not with powers. With faith. If you believe in her enough, then she'll ultimately come back. Even under the worst case scenario, Gina, always have faith. You're the light and the rest of the Angelites will need to follow during those times. It may feel like the world is on your shoulders, but you won't be carrying the weight alone.
Gina hugged Christine as if she was her long-lost daughter. Pure love from the young angel was wrapped in her arms, warm and soft like a slept-in pillow. She may have saved Christine's life that night, but on this day, the angel saved hers. Pastor Good said that every person has a guardian angel. Gina couldn't have been more blessed with a more loving and intelligent angel sitting on her shoulder. Chapter C. Afternoon time had arrived in a hot and sunny mood in New Mexico. There has been no change in Veronica Silverblaze's condition, but doctors are still in the dark as to what caused her coma. Gina sat beside, holding her best friend's hand, caressing her forehead. Alex entered the room carrying a pitcher of water and 3 styrofoam cups. She poured water into 2 cups for them to drink, and the extra cup was in good faith that Veronica will wake up soon.
So what do you think?
Asked Alex, taking a seat by the window.
Right now, it doesn't matter much what I think.
Gina responded.
It's all in God's hands now. I don't want Ronnie to die. I've been surrounded by so much death this week, including my own. Just can't bear to see anymore, especially from someone I care for dearly. She's not dead, Allie. We just need to be as supportive as possible until she opens her eyes and rant and rave about dragging her to this town for a lopsided battle against a cult filled with crazed Satan worshippers.
The ladies laughed aloud for a moment. Then it quickly died. Gina wished she told Veronica to wait outside for the cavalry, but it would have fallen on deaf ears. She loved the Vasquez sisters like family, and she'd go to war with anyone who tried to hurt them.
Here's something I don't get,
Gina realized.
Ronnie and I were both in that explosion. Why did the angels come from me and not her? Because Pastor Good summoned them from your room,
Alex answered.
That's just it. Pastor Good was nowhere near Manhattan when your building exploded. And what about Natalie and Saxon? What is it about us that gave a reason for the angels to snatch us away from certain death, whereas Ronnie's been fighting for days to survive? Something's not right. Besides being quick-tempered and a bit more aggressive, Ronnie's just as heroic and compassionate as you,
Alex added.
I thought she'd be a shoo-in to be an Angelite, unless something happened before the explosion. You did mention that the group was a bunch of Satanists, right? Could the cult possibly have cast some kind of hex or curse on her just before you thwarted the ceremony? I doubt it. Those guys were useless. They had as much power as a AA battery. The only supernatural threat they had was that knife.
Just then, Gina saw flashbacks of that dreaded night in Carmel City. The deteriorated church going up in flames. Christine shackled to the sacrifice table. The devilish knife penetrating through Thorne's chest. And then it hit her.
Beams!
She gasped.
I saw beams shooting out from the knife, and Ronnie got hit. You don't think she's...
Alex fearfully assumed. Needing to know for sure, Gina slid down the blankets halfway and slowly lifted the collar of Veronica's gown. Expecting to see something gory, Gina took in some oxygen and peeked at her chest. Thankfully, no ugly bruises or menacing scars. The sisters were relieved. Chapter D. Alex decided to go for a walk and called the bureau to check in on her team, namely Lloyd. Strolling down the hallway, she spotted the doctor talking to a tall guy dressed in a black fitted sweater and dark denim jeans. A shiny Los Angeles detective badge was clipped on the side of his belt. Judging by his muscular build and bald fade hairstyle, Alex thought he looked like an old friend of the family. The man turned around and smiled as soon as he caught a glimpse of the agent. It was Owen Law. They met halfway down the hall, and Owen wrapped his arms around the shorter agent, lifting her off the ground like a little girl. To Alex, Owen was the older brother she never had, elected as his advocator whenever Gina played hard to get. Owen always had a ton of respect for Alex, knowing what she wanted and working hard to get it. He nicknamed her Brainy.
Why didn't you call?
Thrillingly asked Alex.
We would have picked you up if we knew you were coming.
Thanks, Brainy, said Owen. I made this trip on the spur of the moment. Word only reached me about Ronnie last night, or else I would have been out here sooner. I should have called. It would have given me the chance to catch up with you and what's her name?
Oh, stop!
Alex giggled.
It's good seeing you, O. How's the LA life treating you?
Media love me, cops hate me. News reporters follow me around like paparazzi, especially the ladies. I'm passionate about my job, but these cops take it as me being a show-off. Typical celebrity lifestyle, I guess.
They've always been haters, O. Those guys know that you're the best at your job, but what gets under their skin is that you know it too. That being said, you do tend to be somewhat flamboyant at times.
What? Me? That's crazy, Brainy. I'm just confident in my ability, that's all. Cops should stop being mad at me and focus their hate towards the media because they're not noticing them at all.
LA. Everyday struggles filmed for entertainment?
Something like that, Owen smiled. So where's Ronnie?
Down the hall, room 412. I'm gonna call the office and come right back. Are you staying for a while?
For as long as I can, unless Ronnie can walk out of this place today, whichever comes first. We'll have time to catch up later.
Meanwhile, there will be time for you and Gina to catch up.
Alex winked as she walked toward the elevator. Owen kiddingly laughed but truly longed for nothing more. Relationships have come and gone, but after 10 years, Gina still owned a piece of his heart. He peeked through the door of room 412 and his heart broke seeing his longtime friend in such a helpless state. Owen contemplated on waiting in the lounge area to avoid getting stirred up emotionally, but his heart skipped a beat as the lady of his life sat at the end of the bed. Years of playing phone tag and writing novel-sized emails to each other, Owen never thought he would ever see her beautiful face again. It's unfortunate that a tragedy has reunited them. Sensing that she wasn't alone, Gina turned to the door and felt butterflies rumble in her stomach. Owen opened the door and spread out his long arms for a welcoming hug. The Angelite leapt from the bed and tightly wrapped her friend for several minutes. She may be chosen to save the world, but at that moment, she never felt safer. How have you? Owen started, but Gina interrupted and said, "Shh."
Not yet.
Owen leaned his head against her auburn hair and closed his eyes, feeling the happiest he's been in years. Being with her was the only time he ever felt whole. As for Gina, she questioned herself many times if Owen was the man for her, but their friendship meant so much more to her that she wouldn't dare risk losing him over the complications of love.
It's about time you showed up.
Gina joked, finally letting him go. I came as soon as I heard, said Owen. They both pulled up chairs and sat next to the bed. How's she doing?
She's fighting. That's the only positive thus far.
Have the doctors told you anything?
Nothing. They have no idea how long Ronnie will be under like this. They don't even have a clue on what's wrong with her.
Ronnie's been in a coma for days and they still don't know how she got this way? What the hell happened to her?
You know who Christine Jordan is, right?
The Amber Alert, yeah, I know about that. I heard on the news not too long ago that she was rescued.
Yeah, we're the ones who found her.
Owen couldn't believe his ears.
It's true, oh. Christine was abducted by a cult from this town, and Ronnie and I went to rescue her. She got hurt during the chaos and has been here ever since.
Christ, Gina. You two went after a cult by yourselves? Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I didn't think it would be this serious. I had a game plan going into this, and I prayed she had a concussion or something and would be released the next day. Sorry. I should have told you.
No. I'm sorry, G. You have other things to worry about than go chasing me down. I ran into Alex in the hallway. This is the first time I actually saw her as a woman. When she came to me, I thought to myself, damn, Alex is grown. She's not my little Brainy anymore.
Certainly not.
Gina laughed.
But she's always looked up to you.
And I still don't know why. They both laughed. Owen noticed how physically drained Gina seemed and was concerned. How are you holding up? He asked.
Considering the circumstances, I'm doing okay.
She sighed.
It's been a rough couple of days and I'm still withdrawing from it.
Need any help?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm just so happy to see you.
Makes two of us. Owen got up and moved his chair next to Gina. He sat down and slid his arm over the back of her chair. Gina, surprisingly, didn't move away. With a look of sincerity, Owen started. I want to apologize for what I said to you that day in the psych ward.
You mean about if I'd marry you, then none of this would have happened?
She assumed. No, I meant that. But you were carrying enough emotional baggage, and it was wrong for me to hit you over the head with a "I told you so." That wasn't my intent, and I'm sorry for that.
I forgave you the moment you said it.
You did? Thank you. Gina smiled as Owen looked at the floor and nodded. She reached out and held his hand, pressing his palms against hers. Without saying a word, he expressed that he'll always be there for her. Gina was about to say something, but then paused. Was she ready to let her guard down? Does she want to go to the next level? From out of nowhere, Veronica grabbed Gina's arm. Her body arched from the bed like a bow as she grunted in pain. Bed monitors ran like crazy, and Owen rushed out to the halls to get the doctor. Gina grabbed Veronica's head and looked into her eyes, observing glowing red blotches scurrying around like insects. Making sure the room was clear, pulsing energy surged from Gina's fingertips. Veronica screamed in agonizing pain as the Angelites' crackling raw power was injected into her head. The chaos suddenly stopped, and Veronica plopped on the bed with her limbs as stiff as boards. Her eyes trembled with fright.
Ronnie! Ronnie! Can you hear me?
Gina asked, fighting to shake her friend out of her horrified state. Veronica slowly turned to the Angelite and whispered,
Narc. Say that again. Narc. Ronnie, talk to me! Ronnie! Ronnie!
Veronica's eyes rolled back as she returned to her unconscious state. Owen, Alex, and the doctor ran into the room and saw Gina in shock. The doctor asked what happened, but all she could say was,
She was awake.
The doctor called in some nurses and they prepared Veronica's bed for transport.
She woke up.
Gina told Alex and Owen.
What's wrong with her?
Alex gasped.
What did she say? I don't know. She's back in a coma. All she kept saying was, Narc. Narc? As in narcotics agents? I don't know.
Let's follow them, said Owen, and escorted the ladies down the hall. As Veronica was rushed to the ICU wing, a nurse blocked the doors and stopped the Angelites and Detective Law from entering. Alex pulled out her badge and threatened her to step aside, but the nurse reasoned with them, saying it was a safety precaution to avoid adding stress to the situation.
Please understand,
the nurse pleaded.
We'll do whatever we can to help your friend. I promise you'll have answers as soon as we get them.
Alex wanted to rush past those doors, but she agreed.
I want immediate updates every hour,
she instructed, and the nurse rejoined her team. Gina wished that there was something she could do, but it would be an uphill battle without knowing what was wrong. Time and power would be wasted, so they all needed to be patient. Unbeknown to the worried trio was another presence lurking in the shadows who also had interest in the future of Veronica Silverblaze. Gazing at the Angelites from the other side of the glass, the sadistic grinning face of Cornelius Wood emerged from the darkness.
Silverblaze,
he whispered. Grandpa's waiting. More like focusing. More like focusing. More like focusing. Of course another train's coming. Are you kidding me? Of course. It continued barreling through the city streets, washing away numerous squad cars. Fuck this train right now. The one that's passing by right now, that train, bro. I'm telling you, I am very inspired to get the fuck out of here. I'm telling you. Lloyd, cradle her. Lloyd cradled her in her arms. Lloyd cradled her in his arms, whimpering as he repeated, cruising through the late-night Manhattan streets. Cruising through the late-night Manhattan streets. Bodyguards rushed outside and stood around the vehicle, observing the area to see if the area was secure. A black Cadillac parked across the street at the scene. Oh, I hate the MTA so much. I hate you trains. I hate the people inside those trains. I hate where they're going. I hate where they're coming from. I hate it all. What I need from you, you're unbelievable. It's past 2 a.m. and there's trains still running? Honking? Yeah, honk again. Honk! Go ahead, asshole, honk again! Oh, my Lord Jesus. What thought? Unbelievable. It's past 2 in the morning, bro. And there's more noise than I ever heard all day long, bro. God, I hate this place. For him, in this darkness, it felt like walking through an endless forest. Did you hear that? Cosmetic skin bubbled and sizzled away like bacon cooking in a greasy pan. You just won't let me get this job done, will you? Wow, I can't with this. More lavish than the lobby of a fancy. More lavish than the lobby of a fancy hotel. Chapter 81. Oh, you motherfucker. Are you kidding me? As soon as I start, this starts. Are you kidding me, bro? Come on, man, shut up. John leapt in the air like LeBron James and lowered the sole of his boot into her spine. Bro. Yo, he said John leapt in the air like LeBron James. Word. John. Yeah, I needed to take this break. Thank you. Thank you for doing it now and not later, when I might have been into it. Toma, coño. Sí. Toma, coño. One punch sent John flying through 3 walls. He slid across the floor of what your mother sucks walls at. Okay, let's shut you up. I knew you would try that shit too, you fuckface. One punch sent John He slid across the floor of what used to be the lounge. He slid across the floor of what used to be the lounge area.
Now you want mercy? Sad. You have a natural quality to organize and gather. Could have helped so many people. And trains. And passengers. Commuters. People that have to get somewhere. Go there. Go there fast.
3 ghost bomb crystals. Ah, you motherfucker. The bums of anarchy. 3 ghost bomb crystals armed in the chamber. He squeezed the trigger. Here we go again. Is a person really annoyed at this train passing by. Damn it. Nervously waiting in Lee's office. Nervously waiting in Lee's office. Memphis. Lord. See what I'm talking about? Amazing. And it's well past 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's what happens. Damn it. Yeah, man, I might as well. Good night. See y'all later. Behind 10 inches of glass is better than buried 6 feet underground. Of course, we gotta deal with those pleasant annoyances in the morning. Oh, yeah. I gotta wait a half hour again. Oh, you're so annoying. This is like all the time, every day, with this madness of this noise. Bro, I was better off on the Lower East Side. This is all one take, mind you. All of this noise. To think of that one story that neighbor told me. How I'm the 7th person in so many months to move here. I can see why. People go nuts. However, another siren? Jesus. Laying the flowers on the tray table, Carlo. Laying the flowers on the tray table, Carlo tied the balloons to the bedpost while Dully. God, bro. Bodies were being thrown across the hall like, oh my God. Yes. Gina wiggled her fingers and felt rock crumble apart after. Yeah. I know. That one's gotta be going uptown. Yep, that's the uptown one. Giant stalactites hung. Giant stalactites, hella. What?
Hello?
What?
Hi, my name's and I'm calling from INTERMISSION.online.com.
Yeah?
The reason for my call today is because we partnered with the country's top auto.
Are you reading from a script?
And we're looking to save you up to 30% on what you're.
Shut the f*** up.
You are currently.
Shut up.
Correct?
F*** you.
But we can get you a
Shut the f*** up. Oh, shut up. How dare you interrupt me? How dare you interrupt my day? F*** off, asshole. You piece of ish. Get the f*** off. Do another job, horse ass. Stop calling my fucking phone. Huh? Your mother takes it because I f***ed your mother. Huh? Your daddy watched.
Yo, mama is wookie wookie.
I f***ed your f***ing mother. What are you gonna do about it, you piece of ish?
Mama is wookie wookie.
F***ing Expecting a surprise attack coming, she stretched out her fingers. Wow. I couldn't make this up.
Symbolic rock Saturn. Unfucking believable. Wow, I hate them off the city. I'm gonna take a break because I have to. Orange light vibrantly glow. Orange light. Wow. Shades of gray painted the sky as... Go. That's the benefits of living right next to a railroad. Jesus. These trains, bro. Back to back to back to back. FAVOR⁴ITE. Mud sparkled from metal shapes implanted along the corpses. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? How many trains is that? Damn. And then another one. Well, I did choose to record in the daytime. Wow. Muds. Oh man, really? It's always something, isn't it? Psst. They're getting closer and closer. Always with the sirens, with the trains, with the cars, with the... There go another train. The jets, the trucks, the people, the dogs, the cats, the birds. Like, just listen to the sounds. Is it going away now? Yeah, it's going away now. Just about to reach the breaking point, Gina got hit with a sense of reality. Just as sure as I got hit with the same reality going on right outside my window. Wood is constantly attacking her. Yet another noise. Can't this neighborhood shut the f up? Like seriously. My God, Jesus. In the name of the Lord. Wood is constantly attacking her because she's a threat. Vroom. The bums of anarchy out here. Oh, bro. Oh, my favorite things in the whole world. Sirens. Wow. Did it actually stop in mid-sequence? Wow, let me get back to it. Now you? Oh my God. Yo, it's always something. Oh my God. Yo, really? Like, come on, man. Like, I know this is New York City and all of that, but this can't be one of the most favorite places for podcasters. It really can't possibly be. Wow. No demon would stand a chance against her. But no podcaster could stand a chance against these damn trains. 12 demons flew through the dark sky like a flock of ravens. The bums of anarchy. 12 demons through... 12 demons flew through the dark sky like a flock of ravens. You gotta be shitting me. I don't recall hearing these many trains pass by when I'm not doing this. You gotta believe me. Here we go again with the fucking noise. Shut up, asshole. Shut the f up. How about not?
Kind of like astral projection?
Somewhat. I hate all the fucking noise, everything that surrounds me right now, bro. The neighbors upstairs, the train passing by, the ambulances, the bullshit, the ears, no. Jesus. What kind of noise pollution is this here in New York City? Unattainable. Untenable. It's not gonna stop either, right? Almost poetic, bouncing off the buildings like that in echoish reverb. Natalie was horrified at the sight of smudged bloody letters that spelled out one word. Unbelievable. Can I get this done already? I will never do this in the daytime ever the fuck again. Here it comes. Although the battery was dead, the phone operated perfectly once placed in a... Wow. I just need you to come with me now. Bro, yet another poking train. Damn, bro. Jesus F. Christ. Can these trains shut up? Yo, I'm telling you, the next time I decide to take the LIRR or the Metro North, something better be coming in 2 minutes, bro. That's my word. Pastor Good excused himself and headed back to the prayer room, hoping for the angels to pull off another miracle. That can't be another train. That can't possibly be another train, bro. Not yet another train, bro. How do these trains not crash? Wow, bro. Gina, worn and tired, sat in the first pew and fought to keep her eyes open. Wow, that's a miracle. Yet another mother of train, bro. That's insane. That's insane as hell.
Worst pain there is.
Worst stress there is. Listen to yet another train. Look, y'all, I've recorded all of these trains passing by so y'all can see I'm not losing my fucking mind. This is real ish. And yet another one? Holy free holies. Shut up already. Damn! That can't be another train, right? I know it's a whole lot of noise. Yet another train, folks. Can you believe this? Last time I do this in the daytime, y'all. I would never do this in the daytime ever again. Mark my words. That can't be another train. That can be another train. It's no wonder everyone's brain is fucking frazzled and rattled out here, bro. What is that?
At least 10 trains, right? Gina happily nodded while Natalie stood confidently with her arms crossed. Not, you gotta be Are you serious? How many trains is that? I must have asked this question before, because it felt like I asked this before. How many trains is that? Seriously, how many trains was that? Holy smokes. Unfreaking believable, bro. Yes, I'm going to say unfreaking believable every time a damn train passes by. Because yes, it's just unfreaking believable. He spoke a verse from Jeremiah. He spoke a verse from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Unfreaking believable. I'm about to read part of the word, and this is what happens? What kind of busy devil is this, bro? I'm serious. Every time I'm trying to get something done, something else gets done. Not me, but something else is definitely happening and getting done. Gina heard a again with the sirens. Again with the sirens. This is why I don't get nothing done in a set time. This is why it takes so much longer for me to do this. Just listen. This is insane, bro. I need a boot or I need to get the fuck out of here. House.
Although she sounded confident over the phone with you, her faith was, oh my lord, my faith is rapidly declining.
Never again is this to be done in the daytime. Never again.
This, I'd say, was a drastic approach. Oh my Jesus. Another train? How many trains is that? Wow.
Jesus with these trains. Another train. Back to back. Now obviously, the one that came before this one was going uptown, and this one is going downtown. At least I hope it's going downtown. I thought I'd go without a train for a half hour. Unbelievable, bro. Oh my God, bro. This is miserable, bro. Wow, bro. What was that, the fucking Amtrak? How long was that shit? Damn, bro. The sisters were relieved. Unbelievable. Messy ass trains, yo. Insanity, I swear to God. Chapter D. Are you kidding me? Wow, bro. I'm going to finish this book today. Today. A little Bobby D impression. Do y'all hear this shit? Y'all heard that shit, right? Yeah. It's not deja vu either. He peeked through the room. He peeked through the door of room one. Ay, Dios, coño. He peeked through the door of room 412, and his heart broke seeing his longtime friend in such a helpless state.
You wouldn't even believe me if I told you this actually happened. And I hope that will be it for at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all I want. 5 minutes. Owen leaned his head against her auburn hair and closed his eyes, feeling the happiest. Wow, bro. These trains are giving me panic attacks. Legitimately. Owen leaned his head against her auburn hair. Oh my God, bro. This is upsetting, bro. Like, this is disgusting. You're not gonna let me finish at all, are you? I'm 4 hours into this thing, and you're not gonna let me finish, are you? This is why, folks, I swear to God that I don't get nothing done. And then add life on top of that. You know. Bro, I can't. That better not be another train, bro. Wow, bro. Yeah, this is another train, folks. Wow, bro. And that was a motorcycle on top of said train. Noisy ass hood, bro. Noisy ass mother, bro. The Amber Alert. Yeah, I know about that. I heard him. Oh my God, it's always something. Christine was abducted by a cult from this town. Wow. This is unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. And yes, I'm counting every last time the train is passing by. Because no one would believe this if I said it out loud. They'd have to hear the proof. To show them I'm not losing my mind. To show them that I'm not going fucking crazy. My God. I'm not doing this in the daytime ever the fuck again. Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I didn't think it would be this serious.
Are you serious? It's serious. That's yet another train. So I'm not trying to hear that the MTA don't make money. I'm not trying to hear the MTA don't make money, bro. And there's another one. Whoa, bro. Can I get 5 minutes, bro? 5 minutes is all I ask to at least finish this chapter. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes! Jesus F. Christ. Another off train, bro. Bro, y'all counting these?
Ronnie! Ronnie, can you hear me? Train! Train! Can you hear me? Because one thing's for goddamn sure, I can hear you!
I'm only trying to finish this book, you know. That's all I'm trying to do. But I would have been finished 2 hours ago if it wasn't for all this shit. Listen to this shit! Are you freaking kidding me? And then oh my God, it sounds like we're melodizing. You hear that shit? Make a harmony of this shit. I'm sick of myself, I know. This must truly be annoying to certain folks listening in. Like, yo, really? This is actually putting this on his shit. Some folks might be saying, does he really think this is funny? No, in actuality, I'm not trying to be funny. In actuality, I'm trying to maintain my sanity, as insane as it is. Now then, let's try again. Owen, Alex, and the doctor ran into the room and saw Gina in shock. How come I'm not in shock that I hear yet another motherfucking train passing by right now? This is not normal. This is New York City. I finally am finished with the book. And what a proper, apropos way to actually end this recording. With a train passing by. Good night.